Surf Speedy of Central Virginia, locally owned and operated. He is on the cusp of openings and closings because of what he does professionally at Sir Speedy. We're going to talk about that with Conan. There's a lot of business development that's been happening locally. I'll start the program with a scatter shooting, open-ended. Where would you like to begin? Anything you want to cover, subconscious, stream of conscious, we can go there. And then we should go Fox Den. We should go, is it Creighton Marrow on Harris, some of the changes we've seen. And we're going to talk, if you like moving and shaking locally business-wise, what's coming, what's going, the nitty-gritty behind the scenes, then you're going to like this interview with Conan. J-Dubs, are we live on Conan's personal Facebook page? Okay. Confirm when we are on that. Like and share the show. Viewers and listeners, like and share the show. The Wednesday edition, guys, of the I Love CVille show. His team is literally doing a sign-ins installation while he's live on the show today, which I don't think that's ever been done, which speaks to his team's talent. All right, things are looking good. I see comments already coming in. I really want to confirm, once we get the show rocking and rolling, that you're live streaming to Conan's page so his customers and fans can see him in action. But let's start the program, J-Dubs, when you're ready. Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday in downtown Charlottesville. It's good to be with you. Today's show is going to be a great one. Conan Owen is in the house, his third rodeo on our network and in studio, at least on the I Love CVille network. Frankly, he's probably approaching, flirting with 10 appearances on the I Love CVille network when you consider Today y Mañana. I think you've done 3 appearances on Today y Mañana, 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
This is his third here, so he's at least 5, and I think he might be at 6, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is an absolute wizard with business development. There is few people in this community proverbially shaking hands, kissing babies, pressing flesh, whatever you want to call it, more than Conan Owen. He is at all the mixers. He's at all the events. He's meeting with all the business owners and entrepreneurs. We're also going to champion and celebrate his business, Judah, to start the program. He's owned Sir Speedy of Central Virginia for 3 years now. Today's the 3-year anniversary. The firm, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, has been locally owned and operated for 35 years. He's a Darden graduate, purchased it from the previous owner, and has done phenomenal with the vertically integrated services that he's offering this region. I mean, if you need signage, marketing collateral, if you have a logo and you need visibility or some kind of application for visibility for your logo, you call Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. They're literally doing a signage refresh on our studio storefront right now. A lot we're going to cover on the program, Judah. Studio camera and 2-shot with a guy that I think is becoming a household name here. Conan, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Great to have you.
Great to be here. 3 years today. I got the keys to Sir Speedy, and I'll tell you, it's the best decision I ever made other than marrying my wife.
Wow.
I've loved every minute of it, working with local businesses, nonprofits, new businesses, startups. And one thing I didn't realize is I was way ahead of not way ahead, at least a year ahead of my time. Last month at Darden, they had an interesting conference called the Entrepreneurship Through Acquisition. So it's not people with, cool ideas like the Play Henry ladies or, the Noogs, nutritional people that I've been working with or anybody like that. These are folks like Daryl Pacheco, who bought Shenandoah Joe's.
Yep.
There's an existing business. Someone says, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm going to buy somebody else's business and I'm going to make it more than it was.
Dave Fafara sold Shenandoah Joe's to a Darden graduate. Fantastic exit for Dave Fafara, who's a friend of the program. Daryl, the new owner, looking to scale Shenandoah Joe's to even elevated levels, and it's an already fantastic brand.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's another Darden grad who bought Rudy's Rug Cleaning. So Rudy is now a woman running the rug cleaning business. But there's this whole movement, not just in the MBA world, but there are a lot of people who are coming out of school now and saying, I'm not going to McKinsey, I'm not going to Wall Street, I'm going to buy a local business, either in my hometown or something that I find, and build and grow that. We all aren't as fortunate as the Vermillions, where you have multiple generations who want to take over the business. And you look at, a lot of the businesses in Charlottesville that have closed over the years have been kind of there was no succession plan. And there wasn't an opportunity to sell the business. And I was amazed at the attendance. They said they had it was North Carolina, Duke, and Darden MBA students, plus there were investors there. There were alumni there looking to buy businesses. There was faculty involved with this. There were 400 or 500 people attending this conference.
Wow.
And, it's not just buying a franchise like I did. There are a lot of great franchises out there that you can buy. There are a lot of new ones that aren't in the market yet, but there are also existing businesses. If you look around Charlottesville, there are a lot of businesses that don't have a succession. They don't have anyone in the family that wants to take over.
So as the viewers and listeners know, our firm brokers a lot of buying and selling of businesses locally. Another one that's about to open is what Kit Ashley and her team are going to do on Elliewood Avenue, and I'm excited for Kit and her team to make this announcement of what's coming in the old Kuma location. A lot of folks don't realize with Darden that there's this pipeline of Darden alumni money that finances these purchases, and these MBAs are now looking to get into lines of work that cannot be cannibalized by the internet or artificial intelligence. So they're buying service-oriented businesses. We almost helped broker a deal recently. Now, it did not materialize because the Darden MBA was so focused on EBITDA and profit and loss and balance sheets that, and frankly, it was probably his investors that were calling the shots. He was looking at seller discretionary earnings, wanted something in the 1 to 2x of SDE, and I'm like, dude, he's not going to sell this business to you for 1.5x of what he's making. I mean, he's crushing it right now. So we didn't get that deal. But let's start there. A lot of people don't realize that there's this pipeline of capital from Darden to their students to potentially get something on Main Street, Market Street, Preston, wherever it may be.
Exactly. And a lot of it comes back to the lifestyle. I did the big time consulting thing for 7 years, and I lived on an airplane. I lived overseas 3 different times. It's not the kind of lifestyle, especially with the current generation focusing more on that work-life balance. And you talk to Daryl, and that's what he was looking for. He did the Wall Street thing before Darden, and decided that when he got here, everyone who comes to Charlottesville loves Charlottesville, and they all try and figure out how to find their way back. And that was my case too. I was out of the area it took me 10 years after Darden to get back here.
3 years at Sir Speedy as the owner.
Yeah.
You said it's the second best decision you've ever made except marrying your wife.
Yes.
Put it in perspective for the viewers and listeners, the risk you took here. Because the 3-year marker is generally the marker where you're like, if you hit the 3 years as a small business owner, you surpass that 80% of businesses fail in the first 3 years of ownership thing.
Well, fortunately, this wasn't a startup.
That's true.
So I inherited a book of business, had all kinds of problems out front between, retention of people, because, quite frankly, I had 2 experienced people leave. And, they didn't say outright, but basically they weren't confident that I was going to make it. So they pursued other opportunities. I wasn't worried about that. I've learned all of the mechanics of running the business. I can run all of the machines in the business. I'm not the best person to do any of that, but if somebody's out sick, I can step in and do that. It could have been me installing your vinyl on your windows.
Literally happening right now, guys.
But, I've learned how to putting my MBA to good use, getting up on ladders and risking my neck to hang signs and do window vinyl. But if I have to, I can do it, which is one of those great things about entrepreneurship is you eventually learn all of those things. But, I've been able to form now a great stable team that I've had for a couple of years now, and have really grown the business. We're up over 40% since I took over. And if a couple of big things come through later this year, it's going to be doubling what I currently have.
Well, congratulations.
So that part's been very, very enjoyable, very rewarding, but also just working with the local businesses, the local business community, the educational community, nonprofits. We just helped Twice as Nice do their first ever fundraising mailing to raise capital for the renovation of their new spot at Reed's Market.
How's that going?
Well, it's going. I mean, the letters just hit the mailboxes last Friday and Saturday, so we're hoping that they'll get a pretty good return starting. But it was the first time they ever did it. They didn't know how to format it. They didn't know how to create the reply card, the reply envelope. We had to get them a nonprofit
Have you
mailing
seen inside the
authorization.
space?
I haven't yet. I actually am going there next week to look at their signage needs.
So Twice as Nice, guys, is do I call it an elevated thrift store? Is that fair?
Yeah, it's a curated thrift store. Let's
Okay.
call it that.
Curated, okay.
And the nice thing about them is it's all run on volunteer power, and they give money back to different charities in the community on a periodic basis.
How does a Twice as Nice purchase the Reed's building?
They got a really good deal, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because the family liked the idea of doing something for the community.
The sisters who
The
sold
sisters who
Reed's.
sold, I'm sure
Yeah.
that's the way. And then the other thing is, they just needed the down payment with the knowing that, with a fundraising campaign like this, that they can get the capital to do the improvements and make a good dent on the mortgage.
What'd you make of that transaction?
I thought it was really curious because I think there are a lot of businesses that would have loved to be in the Reed space. I would have. It was probably too big for my print shop, but
One of the best pieces of real estate in the city.
That's a great piece of real estate. It's got lots of parking. And I thought that was a really curious transaction. But a lot of people say, well, at least it's not housing. Well, except we need housing in this town. So, I mean, I'm good for them because they do great work. I absolutely love their mission. And it's been great helping them get their fundraising efforts off the ground. But it's just one of those things that, they were in the right place at the right time and got the right building, because originally they were supposed to move over to the old IGA building over on Cherry
Avenue,
and
yeah.
that whole thing got all wonky. And then with Reed's closing, they wanted to put a supermarket there, so they got bumped. So nobody's
still
got
ha- they still haven't.
nobody's got a supermarket,
Right.
and that place is back on the market for release.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe that'll become housing. Although I'm sure that's what they don't.
I think
want over
that's
there.
also Woodard there.
That is Woodard. That is a Woodard
Yeah,
property.
and I saw
there.
Anthony earlier today. Someone give a little plug over to Anthony. Great to see him on the downtown mall. What's the temperature for our business community, locally owned and operated businesses?
Generally speaking, it's good.
Yeah,
I mean, I think people are doing.
because you
doing
would
well.
know this
yeah,
guy.
I mean, my clients are coming to me with new opportunities, growth opportunities, new businesses.
you and I are the confessional for small business.
In many ways, they come to us. We did a really cool project for Thumbprints Bakery, which has got a space over in the kitchen over on Carlton.
Yeah, the commissary,
Why am I forgetting the name of that place?
I know exactly. what
Beacon
you're talking
Kitchen.
about. Yeah, Beacon. Yeah.
So they're in Beacon Kitchen, and she now has a formal kitchen space, not working out of her house, is doing a lot of festivals and farmers markets. But we were helping her with her packaging. So she makes up a batch of cookies, and by law you have to have your ingredients on there and all of that stuff. So we created a template for her ingredient decals where it's got her logo on it, but then the rest of the space is blank. And she formatted a template so we can print the decals for her on sheets, and she can run them through her black and white laser printer at home.
Awesome.
For a penny, and come up with 20 decals for her products. So she doesn't have to order specific. She doesn't have to order 1,000 decals for chocolate chip cookies and 1,000 for this and that. She can just do batches. So we give her, 1,000 blanks, and she fills them in as she needs to be. And that way it cuts her costs down and just makes things, much more manageable, affordable, and flexible for her, so she doesn't get stuck with any inventory. So coming up with solutions like that for startup business is one of the things I really enjoy doing.
Viewers and listeners, put your comments in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Jude, I'll send you a Facebook message here. Things are rocking and rolling. And for those that are asking for my commentary on what school board member Allison Spillman posted, I will give that commentary tomorrow. Today's show is about business development and what's happening locally in our community. Little tidbit here. This is some breaking news. I can offer some more specifics tomorrow, but there is now officially a deal in play at an established acquisition number, established purchase price. The city is buying a building very close to Whole Foods that you can see from the 250 bypass that is going to be the new epicenter, low barrier shelter, wraparound services for the homeless in our community. The city is spending millions of dollars on this. millions of dollars, like handful of millions of dollars, more than you can count on one hand. And it's purchased from an established real estate owner, private owner, individual that's of note. And the game plan for the city is to make this into, eventually, through additional investment, capital investment needed, the epicenter for shelter, laundry, wraparound services, counseling, addiction counseling, you name it, the wraparound stuff.
Sounds
here.
like that vacant office building there that has that funny little access road.
I will say this for those that remember the space from back in the day. Phil Wendell had his Lakeland, I think it was Lakeland Tours company, before he did World Strides, out of this particular location. Okay. This is the founder of ACAC. You're hearing this for the first time.
Yep.
What do you make of this? I find this incredibly positive.
I very positive. I like the location, first of all, because it's accessible to transit, but it's not a heavily, in fact, it's a barely I don't think anyone drives down that road currently. It provides that, kind of ability to create a sense of community, because you're going to have housing there, you're going to have access to the bus lines, but it also will help take people off the downtown mall, which will take a lot of pressure off the businesses and allow some of those businesses maybe to thrive. We had that meeting a couple of weeks ago with the chief and the mayor about and facilitated by Greer.
Yep, Greer, come back. You spoke up.
Yeah, I did, because honestly, I think what's happening downtown is criminal on a lot of levels. And one of the business owners on the downtown mall that I was speaking to, she said her lease is up at the end of the year, and as of right now, she would not renew it. And I get it, and I can understand why other people are doing that. We saw recently, we talked about earlier, Wicked Hits, that gas station location on Harris Street, where they had that shooting a couple of years ago, is now becoming the headquarters for a landscaping company.
Bluebird Landscapes.
Yep.
You were the one who passed that on to me.
Which is great for them,
Yep.
because they need place for their fleet truck. They need to store, mulch and plants and trees and all of that stuff. They got plenty of room. But I also look at Wicked Hits. It's, between Tiger Fuel moving in up the street with taking over the old Evergrow gas station location. And then with the shooting, it's impossible to get staff to come work in a place that's known for a nighttime shooting where people come in and play the games of chance at night. It's no wonder that Wicked Hits went by the wayside. But it's nice to see another business moving in there. There are a couple other things happening on Harris Street. Interestingly, the old Sarasan building is now an event space. It's got that boxing gym. I can't remember the name of it in the back.
Yeah.
That helps with the youth. There are a couple of beauty businesses in the side, off to the side of it, that are all under that roof. A building I once looked at for moving into. There's some interesting stuff happening on that side of town, but it's still a very industrial place. But I could see how it's not a place where you want to have employees late at night with games of chance going on.
Yeah.
That's been, but yeah, so there's some action happening there. There are a couple of new businesses going in down in Allied Square, the Woodard property down there.
What's going in there?
I don't have the final details on
Okay.
all of that. But I do know Great Harvest just had their first year anniversary of a new owner.
Yeah.
Talk about business transitions.
Yeah.
And
we brokered that deal.
they changed a lot of the menu items, and boy, are they tasty.
Chris and Tracy Crowley.
Yep.
They were our clients. They purchased it from Eileen, the
Eileen,
previous owner. Chris and Tracy, I'm very excited that and this is their news to report. You're privy to this. I don't think we should let the details out yet, but they're going to be opening a new spoke retail location in the near future, and a incredibly optimized location on the downtown mall.
Yep.
I think right there, you know what I'm leaning
Yep.
to. Okay, that's their information to pass along. Potentially more business for you there.
Yeah, without a doubt. But they're also a big presence. They've got a double space at the city farmers market.
They're doing great stuff.
They're doing a lot of and that's one of the things that I have found in my own experience is by one of the great things about a transition in a business is you really shake things up.
100%.
We have done more in wearables business in the past 6 months than
What's
we did much
wearables?
work. T-shirts. T-shirts, I just did 152 fleeces for Colonial Web, which is moving to a new office on the old rug building down by right across from not Umansky, but they're Flow now, from Flow Chrysler.
Okay.
That strip over there where the closed barbecue place is.
Yeah.
So they're in that old standalone carpet building. Colonial Web's moving there. We just did their winter fleeces. For them, we've done T-shirts. We do the T-shirts for We Are Star Children that they sell as their merch. But we've done more wearables this year because it was a new thing that we started promoting and putting out there. So there's been a lot of that. And you find that when there's a new person in charge, like with Daryl at Shenandoah Joe's. I stopped by the UPS package store one day to drop something off, and there was a stack of boxes of 1-pound bags of Shenandoah Joe coffee that took up 2 tables. So there's just a lot of new energy, new excitement, new ideas, new products. In the case, some of the things that we're able to offer that we weren't doing before, and that always leads to some growth, and it propels new businesses, and that's part of the reason why it's great to have even if it's not in the family pipeline, but like you said with Darden or McIntyre or even just UVA alums wanting to come back to the area. The opportunity to buy a local business and put some new energy and new perspective to it, I think just really helps fuel the local economy.
Comments coming in. Let's go to John, number 2 in the family here. John Blair says, can either of you explain if there is a true market-based demand for a neighborhood grocery store? This makes headlines all the time in Charlottesville, but if you take the pulse of consumers and business owners, is there any true wide-based demand for a neighborhood grocery store?
No.
He's tagging it to the comments that you just said, which I think is news that he just happened to say in passing without really emphasizing it, that the space that was going to be the co-op in Cherry Avenue in Fifeville is now back on the market for lease.
No.
Is that official? It's on the market for lease.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you see a
go on
for lease
Go
sign.
on LoopNet.
Okay, there we go. I did not see that. That's fantastic. So
$5 a foot, but it needs a lot of work.
oh, dude, that place needs to be gutted.
Yeah.
That's millions of dollars of upfit.
Yeah, the thing is you can't, small scale grocery stores only work as bodegas in New York City. There really isn't a market for them outside of major urban environments because the cost has got to be astronomical. I mean, like you said, it may only be $5 a square foot, but it's going to take $1 million to renovate that. Then you've got the inventory, and you're not buying in scale. You don't have the advantage of being a Costco or a Kroger or a Wegmans or even a Whole Foods. Not that their stuff is affordable. It might work as a Trader Joe's because that's the kind of footprint they like to operate on. But they've already got one in town, and I don't think they'd want to put one over there to make it more accessible to the students, which seems to be a big part of their market. So it's like, it sounds nice, but I just don't see it. I don't think it's economically viable.
So that means, and this is breaking news here. This will be reported by the legacy media after Conan Owen just talked about this, and we will emphasize it even more on tomorrow's program. That means the co-op that was going to happen between Woodard and PHA, Sunshine, Mathon, and the neighborhood, there was a deadline that was set for it. It did not materialize. And of course, Woodard, Keith and Anthony's becoming a friend here. They're business people. They want a tenant. Yeah. They're like, the deadline's gone. Now it's for lease.
You can't sit and wait.
Right, you can't sit and wait.
And something is going to bring economic vitality to that neighborhood.
That's a critical play.
Whether it's housing, whether it's a different kind of retail concept, there could be a variety of different things. Maybe a dollar store wants to go in there. Maybe it's not a true grocery, but it's got something that people in the neighborhood are going to want. It's just a small footprint. And then if you're talking about expanding the footprint, because they've got a lot of parking out there. It made sense when it was the IGA and you didn't have these big places at Barracks Road and up on 29 North. But if you want to expand the footprint, now you're talking about zoning and environmental.
Yeah.
And you know how that works in Charlottesville. I just don't see.
So
I don't see a grocery store going there ever.
No, I totally agree with you. So that's 2 pieces of breaking news in the first 25 minutes of the program. The first one from me, where this deal is done with the city buying real estate off 250, a building for a new homeless campus or epicenter, whatever we're going to call it, with wraparound services. Many millions for the purchase price. And many millions coming to
renovations.
Thank you. Then breaking news from him on the IGA, the Kibbs Market, now for lease, which leads us to believe the co-op concept for grocery in CVille is now finito. Deep Throat says even the bodegas in New York City are suffering, and they mainly sell addictive products. Any major conduit for fencing stuff shoplifted from the likes of CVS won't work here. Does it even really work in New York City anymore?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, people. Yeah, you can get. Yeah, but if you go to a bodega, what does it cost for an apple?
Yeah,
you know,
right.
And that's the thing is, you say, okay, I want to have something like I want a small scale thing, but small scale means your prices are high,
right?
And if you're trying to serve a neighborhood that's been historically a grocery desert,
yeah,
the last thing they need are high prices,
right?
You know, you can get high prices by ordering online.
Yeah.
So I just don't see that happening. But
This guy is fantastic, guys. How about Fox Den?
Yeah.
You sent me this via text.
Yes.
This is actually kind of genius the more I've thought about this.
Yeah, this is really cool. So Brian Crow and his team behind the CVille Blues have leased a space,
Which is a soccer team.
The local semi-pro soccer team has leased a pretty considerable space up in Hollymead on the Cole side of the Hollymead Shopping Center.
What was there?
Some kind of like disco social club dance party that wasn't open very often. So it's across from First Free Coffee, and I think there's a martial arts studio.
Steve Harvey owns First Free Coffee.
So so the building kind of on the island there, he took the end space and turned it into, I'll call it a sports bar. I'm sure I think he's calling it a different kind of club, but he has got the largest TV. It's 10 by 15 feet. Single TV on one wall, lots of leather couches where you can come and sit down. They're going to have a full kitchen, full alcohol license. They've got smaller spaces on the elevated backside. They've got little U-shaped couch areas with the 6-foot TV on the wall, and you can rent those, and you get control of the remote, so you can watch a football game, you can watch a basketball game. Basically, it's the biggest viewing venue for sports in the Charlottesville area.
So I really like this idea. He's renting couch and TV space, micro couch and TV space, sections of the bar, if you may.
Yep, you can rent sections of the bar for your own private viewing party.
For your own private viewing party, while getting served food and booze.
Food and booze. Yep.
What do you think of this?
I think it's brilliant. I think for a lot of people, he's going to focus on soccer, obviously, because that's his passion.
Yeah.
But
and he owns a soccer team.
Yeah. But between the U.S. women's soccer, the U.S. men's soccer, the European leagues they're broadcast on NBC now.
Yeah, right.
It is very mainstream, thanks to Ted Lasso, for people to watch soccer all the time. So that's going to be his main thing. Plus, it plays mainly year round. But then you also think about you've got big UVA games that are going to be televised that people will want to watch. You've got big NFL matchups. You've got Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. When I was there just visiting, they aren't open yet. I just stopped in to see them. But they had the President's Cup on. So you can imagine, British Open time. You've got people in there at 7 a.m. knocking a few back, watching the golf.
Which is genius.
And March Madness.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Now that UVA might have a competitive team again, March Madness is going to be huge.
And UVA football turning around. I see some upside with this as well. How much square feet do you think he took? Just back of the napkin.
I want to say 4,000.
That's a lot of square feet. That's a Class A place.
Yeah. And he's got a really cool setup outside. He fenced off an area and put down some artificial turf, and they've got 2 little soccer fields. So your kids can go out there and kick the ball around while you're watching the game and having a little drink.
Depending on his negotiation skill set and how desperate the landlord was, that's probably a 25 to 35 per square triple net lease.
Yeah, I'd say it's in that range.
25 to 35 triple net for that.
Nicely built out, beautiful floors.
I mean, this guy's taking a risk here.
I think it's a very calculated one. I would bet on that one paying off.
And why do you say that?
I just think there's a demand for it.
Okay. What's the future?
Look where the growth is happening in the county.
Yeah, there's a ton of growth there. Greene County is ridiculous right now.
All that stuff just over the border in Greene County, Ruckersville.
Stanley Martin is bringing hundreds of incremental new units in Greene County.
Well, not only Stanley Martin, but you've also got what's going in off of Polo Grounds Road. There's a whole new field of red dirt out there. That I know Greenwood is in there big time. There's talk about putting an ACAC location in there. I mean, the population is there. And then right down across from Polo Grounds Road, they have that whole soccer field
Right.
set up that he's a part of.
Is that Saka?
No, that is the Soccer Alliance.
Okay.
It's not Saka. It's
Okay.
a different. It's one of his partners, Brian Cook, who is heading up that area.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I mean yeah, he's a soccer fanatic, but soccer is the game of the current generation.
Yeah.
And a couple of generations now, and it's good entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest soccer fan, but I can see why people will sit down.
Oh,
and have a
totally.
beer. I
Yeah.
mean, just go to Random Row.
100%.
Superfly.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least Superfly, you've got the authentic
Right.
British bartender
Yeah.
to tell
Yeah.
you about the game. But it's become a big thing in our society.
He's also
But,
got Rivanna Futures, Rivanna Station.
yeah, you've got Rivanna, that all coming up. You've got North Fork
Yep.
right up the street.
No, this is a very good. This is a
I
calculator.
think this is a really, and it's the only real bar. Everything up that way is a restaurant.
Yeah. You got
speaking of-
Timberwood.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I
The
forgot
bar
about
side of
Yeah, you
Timberwood.
got the bar side of Timberwood.
Yeah.
But you've also got coming in up there, there's a new Firehouse Subs coming in
Yep.
across the way.
Yep.
So that's exciting for them. There are a couple of new developments further up the road on 29. That thing on the side of the road is now going to be the Dutch Country Pantry.
Yep.
That's going to be opening soon. So yeah, obviously, I mean, that's just a big growth part of the region. It's no longer the county, because Greene County is now, it's a bedroom community for Charlottesville, just like, Northern Virginia, where I grew up, they have the bedroom counties that are now, outside the Beltway. But yeah, I mean, that's what Greene County is becoming. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. They talked previously about, these, the biotech folks or the pharma folks. So you've got the Goochland plant. It's going to be really interesting to
Eli
see
Lilly.
how many people move towards Louisa and Fluvanna.
I think
where it's much
a
more
lot of them are
affordable.
going to live in Spring Creek.
Yeah, Spring Creek for sure. The values, I think, are going to go up big time.
100%.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure what the AstraZeneca up north is. I don't know if that's their North American headquarters or if it's a regional, if it's a specific division that's going in up there. But you've got access to the airport.
Philip Reese watching the program, the owner of the escape room in Woodard.
Yes.
Fantastic guy. Love you, Philip. We got to get you back on the show.
And I need to talk to you about your direct mail campaign.
Direct mail campaign, Sir Speedy. He says also on this subject, Panera Bread is moving back into their old place
Yes.
by Harris Teeter.
Yeah, the Panera, the Blue Ridge Breads was bought out by an outfit.
Kelly Jackson, friend
yeah.
of the program, Adam Jackson, Rick
Yeah.
Postel. They sold.
They sold to an outfit in California that
That's
owns,
right.
I think they're up to 41.
We're talking
Paneras.
many, many millions of dollars.
Yeah,
This deal.
big deal.
Yeah.
But this outfit in California also owns Planet Fit or Anytime Fitness. They've got like 5 different franchises in their portfolio.
They specialize in franchises.
Yep. They do nothing but franchise investment, so they're reopening the one in Panera, in Hollymead, the Panera in Hollymead. It looks like it's about 2 months away from being completed. I poked my head in there the other day.
Friend of the program, Kelly Jackson, Adam Jackson, her husband, Rick Postel, her father. I hope they're watching the program. They watch all the time. They getting into the Dave's Hot Chicken franchise.
Okay,
So
yeah,
now they
there's
own
that one on
the
Fifth Street.
Dave's Hot Chicken. They don't own the Fifth Street one, but they are getting into Dave's Hot Chicken in the Commonwealth of Virginia, multiple locations. I'm excited for that to happen with Kelly and her family.
Definitely have to talk to them about that.
Yep, there's another one. I'm telling you, there's a lot of synergy here.
And then on a smaller scale, Creighton Marrow is leaving Stonefield. Yesterday was their last day. I'm sure escaping the high rent. And they're taking an interesting but not completely crazy spot down on Harris Street, right down the street from Bodo's. and
Why use the word
old
interesting?
building. Well, because there's a very large doggy daycare facility right up the block. So if you're if you're taking your dog to doggy daycare on a regular basis, you're probably going to buy their level of dog food and dog treats. So it's very convenient for a dog owner to drop off their pooch and pick up something on the way home.
And think about how much money they're saving on rent alone.
The rent, yeah. And it's more of an industrial warehouse space. They're
Yeah.
gonna, they're going to have much more room.
More space.
Their rent's probably going to be 50% lower.
At least for more space.
But 50% lower.
Yeah. Oh, because
But yeah.
you know the rent structure.
Yeah, exactly. I know what the rent structure is in that building.
His location was previously there. That's what he's talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to inhabit.
But
2
Stonefield's
spaces.
no joke though with the
Yeah,
rent.
no, Stonefield's got to be in the mid 30s.
Yeah,
Even
higher
on a
than
deal.
that.
even on a deal. It's probably
Yeah.
in the mid-30s. So, that's going to be an interesting move for them. I just went by Natalie Dress today. They're officially in their new space. They've done a great job organizing everything. They're taking in so many more consignments, getting ready to get their signs up in the next couple of weeks. They took the Eljo space, and I haven't heard the final details, but there's a lot of interest in their former space, so that's not going to stay empty for very long.
What do you think? You're a great guy to ask about this. The big, almost cavernous, empty space that is plentiful locally. The future usage of this big, empty, cavernous space that we find everywhere.
You mean like the malls?
Malls, shopping centers.
Well, I think CVille Smash, which I've been to a couple of times, not as a participant, obviously.
Yeah.
But just to work on
You'd
some
be
of their
good at
signage.
pickleball.
Yeah, you don't have to move that much. I think things like that and what's the other one? The Coco's
Coco's Adventure Center
is coming at some point.
Dr. Halpern.
I think
The Jiu-Jitsu studio.
The Jiu-Jitsu studio moved there. I think, more on the leisure activity side of things. As you see with the Sunpins location at Dairy Market, that's doing really well.
Sunpins is doing well?
Yeah. Every time I go in there, it's packed, and I go there, in the daytime. I'm not there at night. I just think the idea is something that really appeals to folks. When I was in Philadelphia, I saw an indoor putt-putt golf. It took up like half of a city block, and to me, that was genius. You got the TVs on the wall, you got the bar, you got the food, and you've got some activity for people. And it appeals to families during the daytime. It appeals to younger people at night. I think that kind of a combination, and of course with CVille Smash, it appeals to older people. I mean, every time I've gone in there.
They got 33,000 square feet. Now, the owners, friends of the program, come on the show. 33,000 square feet's no joke.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. The people are signing up. The people are playing. They got their food and beverage going. So they do have a limited bar service. So they got beer, cider, wine.
Yeah.
Some nice local products there as well. And it's a beautiful facility, and it's the only one of its kind in the area. And I think that's going to do really well. Going to be interesting to see how the rock climbing place on Ivy Road.
They're doing well. Clients.
That was
One of the owners watching right now.
That was a
show.
big space, and I know it takes a lot to.
We helped broker that deal.
Remove floors, but I think it's those kinds of activities that people are really interested in. I think the big spaces like that, it's really hard to find a retail concept that works.
I don't think retail doesn't work with those concepts.
You can't turn them all into housing.
Yeah.
Although I think a fair number of them should be a nice mixed use.
That's so expensive.
Not if you tear it down.
Ugh.
You start over. It's the land is the thing. You've got the location.
There's like 10 people in the community that can afford to do that. What you could do, and to your point, what you could do is, if you're an owner, is get it permitted and sell this permit suite and the upside to out of market potentially.
Yeah, well, but part of the thing is, you look at something like Seminole Square, just because that's the first one that comes to mind. That parking lot is massive.
It's so big. It's such a waste of space.
And it's just
it's never filled.
And that land is basically
extremely
useless.
valuable.
It's extremely valuable.
Yeah.
It's not being used.
Yeah. Right.
If they could greenfield some housing and some ground floor retail.
I'm with you on that.
And kind of turn it into, kind of like what, those town center developments of the past, maybe not quite so grand with all the walking around kind of thing.
The live, work, play.
Yeah, more of a live, work, play, and it's right there on a very busy, you can make it, bus line.
What they tried to do with Stonefield.
Yeah, what they tried to do with Stonefield.
Which I don't think was executed very well. That's my comment.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of vacancies there. You do have Shake Shack is underway. The chicken salad place is underway. Trevinia is still empty after all these years. And they've got a few others, along with now the Creighton Aerospace getting vacant. But you go into Burton's, and that place is mobbed.
Yeah. Burton's crushes it. Burton's top line revenue, probably top 5 in this community for one restaurant. We know the Starbucks, the Chick-fil-A's, the McDonald's. If we discount those because they have multiple locations.
Bodo's.
I'm talking one unit operation. Burton's probably might be even top 3 for top line revenue. Yeah. One location.
Yeah, they do.
They crush it.
They do.
And they have to
incredibly
crush it because the overhead with that place is significant.
Yeah.
Boatload of staff, end cap unit, extremely expensive rent district.
And every time I go in there, I see the same 6 guys at the end of the bar. So they've got regulars.
Burton's crushes it. What interesting. So you've rattled off quality ideas of what to do with all this cavernous, empty storefront space. I
But
thought
the other thing is you can throw in some light manufacturing. Why does it? Why is Afton Scientific? Maybe they're a bad example because they have some very scientific stuff and they need a
200
dedicated
plus
space
million.
for it. But you look at Luna Labs.
yeah.
They're booming. They just announced an expansion. They're adding 24 employees. They're over here on Dale Street. It's like their space is no different than the old Big Lots building. Other than that, it's not too. They don't need the giant ceiling.
Big Lots is where Coco's is going with Dr. Halpert.
Yeah. But any of those shopping mall spaces, Perrone Robotics, could they not take over one of these spaces, one of the big cavernous spaces, and actually do the hardcore manufacturing in there with the big machinery? And then you're diversifying your community in terms of you've got people, and you've got some employees who would live down the street in a new apartment building, and there would be restaurants that they could go to.
You got good ideas. Maria Martha Pinnell is giving you some love. Betsy Nugent, one of the most technically sound forehands and backhands I've ever seen. Betsy Nugent. Love you, Betsy. She's watching the program. Bill McChesney, Lord and Ivy, Lonnie Murray, Georgia Gilmer watching the program. Max Moore. Kevin Yancey, Michael Pruitt, Aaron Moody, just to name a few. Katie Pearl, the talented agent watching the program, just to name a few. Chad Wood. Tough question for you because you're a glasses half full kind of guy for most things.
Generally speaking.
Generally, I mean, you have to be a business owner, don't you?
Yes.
Especially to risk what you've risked to purchase this.
Yeah.
Right. This is a tough question for you. Which business verticals locally are you not as bullish on? Which industries, if you may?
Food service. Restaurants, I think, it's hard. It is hard for them.
Totally agree.
With so many of them on the downtown mall dealing with that.
Yeah.
There's some that do it right and do it well and have all the stars aligned. Black Cow's another one, and Public. I mean, you can never get in those places. I've tried. That's some of our favorite places to go. Oak Heart is also usually slammed. The traditional great places like the Ivy Inn, they do really well. But
Citizen.
Yeah, Citizen, because it's every place needs a good burger joint. Christian's Pizza is always good, but it's so hard for a lot of them between staffing issues, between drawing the customers. It's a hard one, I think. There's always going to be, I think the technology around here is driving so much of the growth in everything. People come to town, they need groceries, they need a place to live, they need a place to buy clothes. I think I think there needs to be a concerted effort to really introduce newcomers to local businesses because they come from out of town and it's really easy to just default to online. And whether that's the Chamber of Commerce, who I work very closely with, or Greer and the Friends of Downtown, or there was the independent businesses of Barracks Road were out there for a while, but it's almost like there needs to be a welcome wagon on the commercial side of things because we have so many new people coming to town, and they don't know.
Especially since COVID.
Yeah, especially since COVID.
And
now
remote.
And now with everything else going on with the new facilities and the new businesses in town, and with Afton, how many is Afton going to add?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's a 200 plus million.
There's 200 million, yeah. So it's probably going to be 50 or 60 employees
at least
going there.
Yeah, plus the supply chain that bursts from it.
Yeah, and then you've got all the stuff going on at Norfolk because you never know when one of those businesses is going. Was it Luminoa won $1 million grant or a contest here in the state. You can do a lot of money with $1 million. And once you get your technology,
you can really level up.
Yeah, and then you kind of build, and then you can go get the investors to build that manufacturing plant and build and get those employees
for sure.
So there is just so much going on around here. I'm very bullish on Charlottesville in general. real estate continues to boom. I think we need to push it even further because we disagree on this, but we need more housing. You got to build it. I am firmly convinced that that's the only way we're going to change anything with the housing situation. Alleviating some of the houseless people with that new move by the city. It's going to take time. The thing on 29 is progressing, but it's another year away, and that's just for the county. I also think there could be some talk of creating a regional facility. You look at all of the empty space in Waynesboro. The governments couldn't get together. Augusta County, Nelson County, Albemarle County, City of Charlottesville couldn't get together and say, you know what, we're going to create this facility. And you could say, well, you can't ship people all the way across. Well, they don't have a home, but here we're offering them a home. I understand if you're homeless, but homeless doesn't mean you're guaranteed a home in Charlottesville. We're providing something. Waynesboro's got, infrastructure. It's got buildings.
Waynesboro takes a completely different stance with the homeless than Charlottesville does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we texted back and forth about those don't donate or support the panhandlers that are in the medians.
Those signs, yeah.
We don't see anything like that in Charlottesville.
Well, yeah. But that's a policy issue, but I think just in terms of addressing the problem and finding the infrastructure to do that, I think looking at it at a regional basis. I hate to use the comparison of a regional jail, but we have regional jails all over the area.
I 100% agree
why
with
not
you.
have a regional homeless thing? And it's not a jail; it's actually a great
campus
facility to help people. It's a campus. FEI would have been a great one too because they already have housing there.
I think it's that's what has to happen, and I think if you can get some kind of cross the aisle. The Thomas Jefferson District Planning Commission was what this was supposed to be, and it has not done that. But this needs that. You're 100% onto it.
Yeah, but I think they're making some good
joint
steps.
Jurisdictions.
I think that there's strength in numbers. It'll probably help in getting some kind of federal funding for a program like that. But yeah, I think that needs to happen because otherwise it's going to be really hard going forward for. To create the food service so that you don't end up with all of the automated fast food franchises and then the white tablecloth service.
Right. Yeah.
You got to have that middle ground that the downtown mall really provides.
I'm going to ask you this. First, we'll give some love to Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes now has an office on the downtown mall. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes, anything hardscape related that you need, they offer a fantastic strategy, plan, communication of outfitting any hardscape needs that you may have as a homeowner. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes is who you call for hardscapes, folks, and trust me, they are absolutely fantastic. 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left. I got to throw this to you. Time flies when you with the guy that as connected as you. How do you fix them all?
How do I fix them all? Number one thing is you have to take the unhoused people away. Where you put them is a matter of debate. That's not, whether you create an encampment. They're already camping, so do you create a controlled encampment? Do you find a building for them to inhabit? Once upon a time, I did some volunteering work at City Church, and at the time they would set up. On a weekend, they'd roll out all these mattresses and people would come spend the night there. It's like we have all these buildings, in these malls that are empty. Can the city not rent, the old fill in the blank building and use that just as a place to house people? I'm not sure. But, people say, I don't want a homeless shelter in my neighborhood. I don't want it in my neighborhood. And I get that. It's the whole NIMBY thing. Nobody wants to deal with it. But right now, the downtown is dealing with it. And the difference is not enough people live downtown to complain about it. It's the merchants, and then it becomes, the greedy business people. But you're not going to get the tax revenue that you need to do the things you want to do if people aren't coming in and dining because, the meals tax is the highest
Meals tax is down. Tourism is down. Foot traffic's down.
It's 10%. That's a hefty...
Goodness gracious, the tax when you go in a restaurant is nearly 12%.
Yeah, okay, so
11.5%.
So the more people you scare away, that's 12% of every meal that you're scaring away.
Not all local, some of that state.
Yeah. And then the rooms tax is like if people don't want to stay on the downtown
TOT.
mall. So they're just all those kinds of things that end up being the vicious cycle of destruction as opposed to the virtuous confluence of, you know, having an inviting downtown
It seems so
mall.
obvious. When you put it that way, I try to put it the same way you do. It seems so obvious. Why can't, it's so obvious. Why can't it be fixed? It's so obvious.
Because there isn't the will. Because it takes hard decisions, and we don't have a history in this town of leadership taking hard decisions.
I 100% agree. There's no trailblazer leadership.
And it's not about being popular. It's about doing what needs to be done.
1,000% agree.
And ultimately, that will result in
you
popularity.
think-
But I don't know that, you know, let's face it, it's politicians. Politicians are always out to
For themselves.
to cover themselves. They
Cover
are.
themselves.
I don't care what party you in.
That's what it is.
That's what you do.
That's what a politician
That's what you
does. Yeah. Toughest question I've asked you so far.
Okay.
At the Q&A we were at, was there a trailblazer leader there?
Not on the stage.
Because conscious, I say, is.
Yeah, but he could only do so much.
He can only do so much.
Because if the city
The other two, you're saying no?
If city council says don't do this, the cops can't do that.
Exactly. So
It's-
you're
it's
saying
not-
the other two are not.
He takes orders.
Right. Right.
You know, ultimately, the police chief takes orders from the politicians and the civil leaders.
So no trailblazer leader. Yeah.
No.
That's what I saw.
He could be a leader, but that's not his role.
It's not his role.
It's sort of like, you know, the commander in chief.
I'm not even sure
is
it's
a
Sam's
civilian.
role.
I'm not sure it's his role either.
Okay. So,
No.
no, right?
No, until somebody's willing to make those tough decisions, we're going to keep doing, you know, it's the definition of insanity.
Insanity. It's definition of
we got.
insanity. You crushed this per usual.
So I will do two plugs.
Please,
A
please.
couple of things. One is for the fourth quarter, we're doing a promotion thanks to Dash, our customer experience officer. We are donating $5 to the Fluvanna County SPCA for every new customer who comes to us for a quote.
Dash is on screen.
How good.
Yeah, look at the screen for Dash.
Yeah, Dash is one of our 5 four-legged employees, so we're big supporters of pets and vets are our 2 big charities, which leads me to our second thing is if there's any organizations out there that want to do Christmas cards for the troops, we've partnered with a great photographer here in town. He has a website called Who with a View, and he's given us some pictures of Charlottesville in winter, and we will print up as many holiday cards as people want, as long as they will fill them out and get them back to us by the 1st of November so that we can ship them off to the troops overseas. We're already partnering with the Darden Vets group like we did last year. I'm meeting with Fishburne Military Academy, going to get some of those kids involved. I know there have been some elementary schools around the area, especially up towards Injik, that have done this in the past. If you've got a church group, if you've got the VFW, if somebody wants to do this, just give us a call. Let us know how many cards you need. We'll print them out and get them to you, and just fill them out and get them back to us.
Dude, you just crushed this.
Well,
This format is tailor made for you though. They're the long form, know a lot of stuff, talk about a lot of stuff, champion and celebrate the community. I mean, that's what this is, right?
Well, I mean, that's what I do.
That's what you do.
That is my job, is
is
to
your job.
help build and grow businesses and
That's your whole job.
organizations. That's all I do,
Right.
and that's why I love this job so
And that's why you're good at it, because you have the Darden background, you're passionate about it, and you love the community.
Yeah, I do. We've been here 20 years. It'll be 20 years in November, and we've just loved being here.
You do a great job.
Well, thanks.
I sincerely mean that. It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
It was awesome. Conan Owen, Sir Speedy, Central Virginia, locally owned and operated. Locally owned and operated. They literally did the banner behind me. They're updating the storefront graphics, the storefront branding on our studio right now. Help us with our tenant portfolio, some other positions that we're pursuing. Conan Owen, Sir Speedy, Central Virginia. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand, folks. You can count on them. Judah Wickower behind the camera. That's all she wrote. Tomorrow's program, I promise you, commentary for me on Allison Spillman. I'm definitely going to be talking about this grocery store now being for lease on Fifeville. And I'm going to offer more insight into this deal the city's doing on this piece of real estate that you can see from the bypass for this homeless campus with wraparound services. All those topics and more on the I Love CVille show. So long.
Thanks.